What's happening, connoisseurs? It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Happy Saturday, January 18th. Hope you're well. In this video, we're going to do another rapid fire news update, this time for the period January 11th to the 18th. And again, it's just a high level overview. It's not a deep dive detail or anything in case you missed it. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. The shadiness continues with the company Acreage. SEC has fined the company $225,000 over a suspicious $4 million cash transfer. There's been a lot of shadiness with this company, honestly, with Canopy taking over, and they did investors dirty, essentially giving them the shaft. It was below a certain price, so therefore Acreage shareholders were deemed worthless, so they got nothing as part of the Canopy growth deal. But curious to hear what everybody else has to say about this in the comment section. We'll continue the conversation there. But I do think, with Canopy at the helm and now the parent company, I think they'll be okay long term. Canopy USA is now they're a part of Canopy USA, so I think they will be okay long term. But definitely some eyebrows being raised here with how they treated the Canopy and Acreage deal, and now this. So we'll continue to monitor that story as it develops. Facebook keeps censoring MJ content despite touting free expression. This was a newsletter January 13th, 2025 by MJ Moment. And again, I've talked to different creators. Some say that yes, they are for sure censoring, my YouTube channel and my content. I've experienced it firsthand. A lot of videos don't get monetized. They're not suitable for certain advertisers. So we're going to get there eventually. It's just right now it's on Schedule 1, the same as heroin, right? So until we have major reform in the US, I don't think there's going to be any major changes to the way the algorithm or the way that they censor different things. I think it's going to take at least rescheduling to Schedule 3 to really start to see a big change, and then eventually federal legalization at the federal level in the US, right, where they deschedule it. That's when we're going to see the floodgates open up and all of the shackles removed, right? High tide to enter the German medical MJ market through acquisition of PureCan. They acquired about 51% of the company, and they have the option to acquire the remaining after about 5 years, I think it was. I did a video on this, so if you haven't seen it, you can check that out for more details. But great to see High Tide extended their Cabana Club as well to the UK, EU, and the US. So they're making some massive moves here. And moreover, on High Tide, they are set to announce their fourth fiscal quarter and full fiscal year 2024 financial results. And that is going to be after financial markets close on Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. I'll be covering those. I'll probably do an earnings prep video and then an earnings review as well. What could Trudeau's exit mean for MJ in Canada? So unless you've been living under a rock, Justin Trudeau has announced his resignation. So they're in a lame duck session right now, and he announced that he will not rerun. So there's going to be a new leader for the Liberal Party. It's probably going to be Pierre Poilievre, who's going to take over as the Conservative leader. I would say he's probably going to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. If you haven't seen that video, I talk about is he good for the MJ industry? But ultimately, he's very anti-tax, so he wants to lower taxes, and I think that's going to be ultimately good for the MJ industry. And he has expressed he voted against the legalization initiative initially whenever they legalized it in 2018, that bill, but he's since kind of changed his tune. And like I said, I think he's pro common sense, pro business, pro the people, and he doesn't believe in high taxes. And right now, that's one of the biggest things in Canada, probably the biggest reason why a lot of companies are struggling is high excise tax. So I think that could be a favorable change at the helm here in Canada. Michigan eclipses $10 billion in adult use MJ sales. So the Great Lakes state finished 2024 with another record-breaking year as the average retail price for flower dipped below $70 per ounce. Wow, that is crazy. So that's definitely not sustainable. I said the average in the US is around $200, $300 per ounce. That's not going to last, right? Especially USD. In Canada, you can get an ounce for around that same price, around $70 US. Sometimes you can get it for $60 or $70 Canadian, which would be about $50 US, right? So that's going to eat into a lot of these margins as well for a lot of these companies in the US. That's just not sustainable, right? I can't imagine paying $200, $300 US for one. I just simply wouldn't do it. That's insane. I don't even remember paying that much when it was illegal here in Canada. So Legalizing MJ leads to decrease in use of prescription anxiety medications, study shows. So now we're starting to really understand why Big Pharma is so disrupted by this. Like I said, I've said this many times on my channel. I used to work for $1 billion pharmaceutical company, and after they got fined billions of dollars for the opioid crisis, all they could talk about was CBD and MJ, right? They just couldn't wait to get their hands all over it. For about 2 years straight, that's all they talked about. So this opportunity is disrupting the status quo, and these incumbents, especially the big pharma industry, right? Alcohol, big tobacco, and they can't wait to get their paws all over it, right? Because it's the future, medicine of the future, and it's the next green wave. DEA declines to say where it stands on MJ rescheduling and new legal filing as highest the corruption at the highest level continues, reacting to claims it conspired with opponents, which obviously it's hearsay at this point. I don't think there's any concrete evidence, but it certainly wouldn't put it past me from this power hungry rogue agency that unelected bureaucrats just think they can stall this, right? They're going against the will of the people, and it's just it's an absolute embarrassment, right? Like this DEA agency, the DEA, the SEC, they're both despicable agencies in my opinion. But a new day is coming, and we have the inauguration on Monday the 20th, and we're probably going to see a completely new shakeup in the DOJ and DEA. So we'll continue to monitor that as it develops as well. But the DEA judge cancels MJ rescheduling hearings amid legal challenges, pushing back reform at least 3 months. I've already done a video on this as well, so you can check it out if you haven't already seen that. And then the Justice Department, DOJ, says MJ rescheduling case should be paused in federal court after DEA cancels hearings. And a lot of the reasons for doing this is because of a new administration coming in, and they don't want to. They think it's just better to wait until the new administration comes in instead of seeing all this crossover and difference of opinions, and it just makes a lot of sense to me. And there was an op-ed as well by MJ Moment that they posted on January 16th, why delaying DEA's biased MJ rescheduling hearing is good for the MJ industry. So ultimately, I do think this is a net positive overall. What's the point when we have a new administration coming in at some point soon? MJ Herald reports that U.S. Congress, the MJ caucus co-chair, pushes for MJ banking and veterans reform, says new bills to be filed soon. So this is great to see. We know we have a new Congress as well, and this new 119th Congress is very pro crypto. They're very pro MJ from the looks of it. We've got more progressive leaders in there, and we'll see what happens under the leadership of the new executive branch, but also at the legislative branch and Congress, and see if we can't get some things passed across the finish line, right? I think rescheduling, banking, probably going to be just an easy layup for the industry. And then ultimately we'll want to get federal legalization, but it's probably going to start with medical, right? So let's all lock arms and kind of relay the same message and try to get something across the finish line. And that should start with rescheduling, banking, and then legalization of medical, in my opinion. Take that incremental approach and not try to build Rome in a day, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. We just have to continue pushing and take the small wins and low hanging fruit as they come. Ascend issues $15 million in debt. So the company, here it is here. Yeah, the company intends to use the net proceeds. This generally isn't good. Of the notes for general corporate purposes, including to fund growth initiatives. So they kind of saved it there, generally like general corporate purposes. That's not generally a good sign because it generally means they're just using it to pay down, to keep the lights on, right? But including to fund growth initiatives. So a little bit of a kicker there. We'll see what happens here. Maybe they're working on some exciting new developments, whether it be product innovation or otherwise. But yeah, generally, whenever it says general corporate purposes, that's generally not a good thing. Mary Jones expands to Missouri's MJ market through partnership with Clover. And we know that Mary Jones is actually being brought to Canada through a partnership with Jones Soda and Tilray. So they were starting with Ontario and then British Columbia, I believe, and then the rest of Canada. I haven't seen them yet here in Alberta. If you are in Ontario or British Columbia, let me know if you've seen them and if you've tried them. Curious to hear what your thoughts are on them and how do they compare to Tilray's beverages like the XMGs or the Molo brand. Ayr Wellness opens Miami's first medical MJ dispensary. So they have opened the first Miami dispensary nearly 10 years after Florida's voters legalized medical MJ sales. So company Ayr, there's a lot of bulls, a lot of bears lately. I'm kind of sitting more in the bear camp. I just, it's not a good look after the CEO stepped down and they have a lot of debt. The legalization didn't pass in Florida, but we have some updates with regards to that, and a new bill filed for 2026. So we'll see what happens here. If we can get that done, it might save the company, but there's a lot of competition, and they have a lot of mounting debt, and like I said, just some uncertainties around their leadership left me kind of with a bad taste in my mouth. And after the Florida vote failed, I actually liquidated all of my AYR position. I was only holding it in anticipation of the Florida vote getting passed, but not telling you to buy, sell, or hold or anything like that. I wish them nothing but the best. I'm just a little skeptical of their longevity, and if I had to guess, I would say they're more than likely going to merge with another company at some point soon. And in other news, very exciting, I covered this in a separate video as well. DoorDash is set to begin delivering CBD and intoxicating hemp products. So I'd love to see this. They're going to be starting with gummies. They're going to be starting with beverages to start. And the hemp company by Curaleaf, you can get the select products on there. There's other products that are already being delivered. I know a POW Group private member, shout out to you. You know who you are. You said yesterday you ordered something on there, and you're starting to see a lot of this, right? So we're going mainstream, and eventually you're going to see Tilray's Drink Happy Flower products on there as well, and Wondrous by Wana, which is owned by Canopy USA, and they got a ton of products on the Wondrous site. And POW Group private members have ordered those and reviewed those and been hearing great things about that as well. Here's the Florida news. So the Florida campaign, Smart and Safe Florida. So they have Smart and Safe Florida's 2024 ballot initiative failed, and they're trying again for 2026. So their new MJ legalization initiative has been filed for the 2026 ballot after reform failed in the last election. So it only failed by a few percent, and very, very difficult to get to that 60% threshold. Some states are only 50% to get an amendment, but to get amendments passed. But like I said, that's a very daunting task to get 60% of the state population to vote in favor of it. But we'll see what happens here the second time around. They kind of eliminated a lot of the uncertainties in that the first initiative had. And Ron DeClown, I like to call him. He had some issues with the previous one, so they've since kind of rectified that, smoking in public, etc. Also, parent of Raw, MJ Rolling Papers, wins $8.7 million in a copyright infringement lawsuit. So if you're familiar with the Raw Papers, I've seen some information going around on social media about this as well. Company was very excited. Love to see it. But yeah, there's been a lot of infringement just, with regards to edibles and things like that from the illicit market. So I would expect more of this to continue as they crack down. Also, Trulieve to open dispensary in Zanesville, Ohio. And short-selling firm Hindenburg Research is closing up shop. So this can be viewed as a positive thing for the industry. We know there's been no shortage of short selling in the space. I've actually never shorted an MJ stock in my life. I don't plan to. But this could be viewed as another positive for the industry. And last but not least, MJ e-commerce platform Leafly transitions to the OTC after it has been delisted from the NASDAQ. So not a great look for Leafly, but end of the day, they're still trading on the OTC. Let me know what you think of this news in the comment section below. We'll continue the conversation there. It's Rod with POW Group. Once again, happy Saturday. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth, and we'll see you again on the next update.